So have you ever felt like there are a bunch of times where you feel pulled between two differing sides, where you're pulled towards your social life and your work life, and you have to do both because both are super important to you? Well, this video is very good for you because I'm going to go over how to balance both of them. And it's a very, very arduous and difficult. It's not that hard, but there are some things you have to really prioritize and such. Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan Aquino, and I help teach the next generation. So social life and work responsibilities. It's a very delicate balance that a lot of people try to do, but what most people do is overcommit to one. They don't truly choose one. They'll go either social life all the time and let their work falter, or they'll work really, really hard and let their social life falter. I've done both. I've been on both sides of that spectrum, and I'm going to tell you what has worked for me in terms of trying to balance a social life and work responsibilities, because they are very important to balance. You need both to be a more fully fleshed out individual, if that makes sense. So the first one I would say is to make sure you set clear boundaries. So your time, however you may want to spend it, it is your time. So you need to be more selfish with your time. So you need to make sure to set some clear boundaries. So I would say dedicate work time and then have dedicated social time. So for me, I have from when I wake up, which is about 4 in the morning, to around maybe 1 o'clock. That is dedicated work time. I'm not doing anything else except work. And then after 1, maybe after 2, that's when I can be like scheduling social activities and such, because I want to make sure I have everything separated. When I'm working, I'm only working. And when I'm doing social stuff, I'm only want to focus on social stuff. I don't want to try and intertwine both. So I don't try and be social while I have work on my mind. And I don't want to be working when I want to be out socializing. It doesn't work like that. So make sure you have some clear boundaries on what times you decide to work on. You don't want to copy me because I don't think most of you wake up at 4 in the morning. But try to figure out what times work for you in terms of work and what times work for you best for socializing. Very delicate balance, but make sure you set those clear boundaries. Then I would find ways to prioritize your time and pick the most important things that you have to get done, whether it's for work or for social activities. An easy way to do this would be using the Eisenhower matrix. I've done a couple of videos on the Eisenhower matrix. You can also look up what the Eisenhower matrix is. But to put it simply, you want to figure out what the level of importance and urgency your tasks and social events are. So if you can figure out what is the most important things that have to get done, what's the most urgent things that need to get done, you can kind of figure out where things need to fall. So if you have this very big social event that's like super urgent that you have to go to, you should probably go to that one. But if you have some events that aren't that important that you really don't want to go to, maybe consider not going to them because it may not be necessary. Same goes with work. You might have some super urgent work. You might have some super unnecessary work. It's kind of both things. So keep that in mind when it comes to prioritization. It can be pretty difficult to kind of decide what's important and what's urgent, but it's very straightforward and very easy once you kind of get the hang of it. Now, if you're not doing this next one, we have a problem because this next one will simplify a lot for you that I'm going to do. If you take nothing else from it, you better be doing this one. Use a calendar, preferably. You can also use a planner, but use a calendar. The one that I use is the Google Calendar. Very simple. It's free. Everyone can have access to it. Use your calendar. Hear me out. If someone texts you, hey, do you want to go out at 5 p.m. and you look at your calendar and you're busy at that time, you cannot say yes. If it's free, great. You can go. But otherwise, don't be an idiot and not use a calendar if you're trying to balance work and socializing. Doesn't work. I have tried. You fail. Simple. Don't do it. Use your calendar. You have it for a reason. Make sure, I'm going to say it again, you use your calendar. It's very easy to set up. I've done multiple videos on it. Very easy to set up. Simple as that. Next one for me would be learning to say no. So a lot of people have trouble saying no to invitations or activities and such, which I get. You don't want to feel like you're missing out, but you do know it is okay to miss out on some things, especially when it comes to things that you don't want to do. Where I know I've been invited to like when I was in high school, multiple parties and multiple events. And I would look at the invitation and I would go, okay, so who do I know is going? Where is this going? And what the hell are they doing? And usually all of the things would be very unimportant, very uninteresting. So I would just never go. So I was never known as the party guy. And, you know, that's fine with me. Quite frankly, I don't really party. But because I know how to say no, if someone were to ask me, hey, you want to do this thing? I would know and have no issue personally saying, you know, no, I'm actually, you know, busy, or no, I'm actually don't feel like doing it. Stuff like that. I don't have a problem saying no anymore. But you may have a problem saying no. I don't know where it stems from, but it is a muscle that you have to build up, which I get takes a while, took me a while. So no shame if you can't say no, or very hard for you to say no. Just learn to start saying no if you can't do more work or you can't socialize and do social events. Either works, but start practicing how to say no if you don't feel comfortable saying no. Now, the next one that might surprise you is to prioritize yourself. And what I mean by that is prioritize your health. It doesn't matter if you can balance everything perfectly. If you're burnt out, if you're done physically, mentally, emotionally, if you're just spent, it really doesn't matter if going out or not will make a difference. It doesn't matter if you work more or not. It doesn't make a difference. You're done. You're spent. You're exhausted. So make sure at a bare minimum, you are taking care of yourself. Your health is more important than your work, and your health is more important than your social life. Because if you're at tip top optimum health, you can do like 12 hours of work. If you are at your goddamn worst, you're doing 1 hour, if any at all. Socializing, you can do social events the whole fucking time. But if you're dead, you can't really do that. So make sure you're taking care of yourself in the end, in the long run, in the long term. That should be the main thing. Prioritize your health. The next thing following on from that would be to communicate with other people. A lot of people, me included, forget to talk with people in terms of planning stuff. So they will constantly ask questions and plan stuff, and I'd be the one forgetting to communicate by availability and such. So the event would happen, I go, I can't do that. And I'm like, well, you could have told us like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, that's my beat. Make sure you communicate with people. If you want to socialize, communicate with them. Hey, these are the times I'm available. Hey, these are the times I work. Hey, these are the things I do. Like, communicate with them. Don't be quiet. Don't be me. Don't be a me on that front. Communicate with people. Let them know your availability, your time schedule, and all that stuff. Make sure you let them know so that they can plan stuff accordingly. Now, this next one I actually started doing in the more recent times because I personally don't go out as much. I'm not much of like a social butterfly nowadays. I'm more dedicated to work and my family. But whenever I did get invited, over the past year to maybe go out and hang out or do something fun, do something stupid, I would make sure to be present. And what being present means is you're there and you're only thinking about the social event. That's it. You're not thinking about work. You're not thinking about business. You're not thinking about other activities. You're only thinking of where you're at right now. And that's it. Being present is probably the best thing you could do for the socializing. This is mainly particular to the socializing aspect. If you're not really in the moment and you're not enjoying it, and you're on your phone, you're doing other things, they're not going to invite you again. They're not going to feel appreciated. So make sure when you are hanging out with your friends or people you know in a social event, make sure you are present so that they feel that you're there and you actually care about going out. So be present. Don't go wandering aimlessly in your mind. Don't go trying to think on your phone. Like, focus on being present on your social event. It can do a lot, actually. And then finally, whenever events happen, your social stuff happens, your work happens, make sure you continuously review and adjust. Maybe you finish work a bit early so you can hang out a bit earlier. Maybe a social event got canceled, and make sure you adjust accordingly. Make sure you're always reviewing and adjusting and trying to find that balance, whether it's daily or weekly. Just make sure you try and find that balance for your entire schedule. So if you start implementing these, whether it's all of them or some of them, you're going to find that it's going to be a lot easier to improve your social life and your responsibilities of work. It's going to be very easy. These all kind of take their time. So you want to try and find that right balance and optimize it. So it's going to take a bit of time, but when you do have it, you're going to find it's a lot easier to manage both sections of your life. If you found these tips helpful, you definitely want to check out my previous video on the 4 mistakes that entrepreneurs do. They relate also to time management. So if you're an entrepreneur, these things can also help you achieve more of a social and work responsibility balance. If you want to help change your life, take back control of your time, check the links down below in the description.